Hi, everybody. Welcome to Beyond the Track, presented by Cooper Tires. I'm Daniel Blair. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode. This one's going to be great. A few weeks back, I had the chance to talk to Jade Dungey. He's the mechanic for Chase Sexton. He's in a very interesting part of his career right now, making the transition from 250 to 450. Obviously, his hopes and goals are to become a 450 champion mechanic. And today I'm going to talk to somebody who's might know a few things about winning championships as a mechanic. Carlos Rivera joins me. Carlos, what's up, man? How are you?
Good. How about you guys? I'm doing pretty good. Getting ready, hopefully, for the new season. So here at the race shop, kind of like still working on it.
It's go time, right? I mean, I know we still got a few weeks here and there, but for you, is it wide open? Are we on our way to Houston?
Yes. I mean, this is like the grinding time for us. This is a part that a lot of people don't realize. You know, we put a lot of hours before the season start, and trying to get the homework done. Trying to get everything ready for the new season. We all excited about it. We just long hours trying to get everything ready.
I actually talked to Cooper Webb yesterday, and he seems to be in a spicy mode right now. His attitude is he seems to be a little on fire at the moment. Are you feeling that too? Because he was a little mouthy to me yesterday. He's pretty confident.
Yeah, he's actually he was here doing a little testing and some photo shoot that we had to do for the team, and his attitude is really good. He's all excited, and it's like kind of feel like he has a fire on him, like he's ready to go, and he's excited about the season. A little bit off time there with his injury, but man, he's hyper and ready to go.
Carlos, you're Cooper Webb's mechanic, working for the Red Bull KTM team. Your resume is off the charts. I want to get into some of those things in this interview. But as I mentioned, Jade Dungey, he's in a cool part of his career. He just won two 250 championships with Chase Sexton, moving to the 450 division. He's he's fired up, ready to go. And I'm just curious, do you remember those times for you, just those early days when you were just kind of getting started, the win started coming? Do you remember that time in that transition period in your career?
For sure. There's every championship have its cool moments, and from the beginning, be the first one I won with Davey Millsap down in 2006. It was really good. Davey's like it's like almost my kid. It's a very, very good guy, and we still like family. But that was one of the first one. It was kind of like really good. But after that, winning with Ryan, it was very cool. Winning the first Supercross race for KTM, that was very, very excitement for the whole team and for us, and winning a lot of titles with him, and then now winning with Coop. It was a cool thing. It's pretty exciting when you see your bike winning and your rider doing well, and it's an awesome experience.
I can imagine pressuring too, though. At the same time, like Jade said, it's like you just want to make sure you do everything right. The rider's got his own responsibilities, but you've got yours. So I know it's fun and exciting, but a little pressuring at times too.
For sure, and I think that's the pressure is what you like to feel, and you hate to be in that position, but you also like to be in that position because something good is going to come out of it. And I mean, you do your job, you do 100% every time we go to the track. Our goal is no mistakes. That's my goal, and the riders the same way. No mistakes for them. And every race is very important for us and important for the team. I really, of course, when it gets to the grind, to the last race, and this is the nights that you just go into the bed and you start thinking about, did I tie this? Did I tie that? That day of the race, the last race, you hear noises on the bikes that you never heard before. Like everything that makes noise, you just start checking twice. But that's the part of this. Being the stress and the adrenaline. The guys feel it. The mechanics feel a different way. He feels in that way of everything has to be perfect and no mistakes.
No mistakes. That's how you win championships. And again, you've been a part of some good ones. Carlos, before we get into some of those moments, I want to go into your background a little bit more and understand your path to where you are now. Let's go before you ever had a shot at winning a Supercross championship. Just those early days. What was your start? How did this all come about with you? Was it a passion with working on bikes, relationship? Like, what helped you build your road and path into Supercross? And I'd like for you to start somewhere near the beginning.
Well, I'm gonna tell. It was maybe around in the 90s. I was in college, and then I decided to stop college, and I want to be a motorcycle mechanic. So it was like my family, they were all professionals, and I was kind of like the one who wants to go in the mechanics business type of deal. But they told me, say, you do it the right way. You have to go to a school. So I researched, and I went to Motorcycle Mechanic Institute in Orlando, Florida. I graduated from there. Before that, I married my wife, and we came to the United States to do it. And it was a cool experience because I was racing a little bit local, and then my goal was to go back to Puerto Rico. And we decided to go watch Orlando opening series. It used to be open Orlando, the Supercross. And me and my wife went there and said, man, this is what I want to do. I watched the race. Back in the day, it was LaRocco's days, Kedrasky days, McGrath. And I said, man, I want to do this. This is what I want to do. And that's kind of like everything started. And then I started working with some amateurs, helping out, finished school, and working for a dealership. Then after that, kind of got along a little bit together with Cole Grace at Suzuki. He was actually a good help, helping all the amateur guys from Florida. And then that's kind of Davey Millsack came on board. He was only 11 years old. They approached me one day, say, we need someone to help us. Anyway, I was living for a couple hours away from his place, and I moved there. Went to see his place, and man, he has bikes everywhere. It was like a yard sale. So anyway, that kind of started there. I started working with him as an amateur mechanic. We travel a lot, going to all the amateur races, help him to basically do all his bikes, everything through the amateur career. And the time came that he had to sign a pro contract, and Suzuki was after him. And so basically he told me, say, you got to come with me. I wanted you to be there. And he basically gave me that opportunity to come with him. Roger, at that point, it was a little skeptical, like hiring someone that he didn't know much about it, not a big background. And it was kind of interesting transition for me. And I moved from Florida to here, and I went to work for them. And pretty much even till now, Roger tell me, after a few weeks working with you, I knew that you're going to be good, and that's kind of like a whole scenario starts. And from that, of course, Davey moved to Honda, and he asked me, hey, I want you to come with me to Honda too. And I went with him there, and it was kind of like good. We won a title. Davey went to some up and downs, injuries and stuff. And after that, he moved to North Carolina to race with Joe Gibbs. And at that point, it was kind of tough for me. My daughter was just born, and I had a house here. It was kind of tough decision for me to move, and it was pretty tough to move to there. And anyway, at that point, Roger contacted me and said, hey, I have something going on. I want you to be part of it. It was to move to KTM. I was like, I'll be honest to you, at that point, I'm working at factory Honda, and then someone called you to go to KTM. It was a little bit scary at first, but honestly, I trust Roger. He's been a good person and always been there for me, helping whatever. And I said, you know what, I'm going to take the chance. I'm going to go to KTM with Roger. And basically I did. I didn't have no ties with riders or anything. And at first I was kind of like an in-house guide and helping out. And then Ken Roxon came on board of the team, and he was going to only do West Coast races. So I was his mechanics for those West Coast races when he raced West Coast. We did really good rider. Then when he went to Europe, they came back. Ryan, it was part of the deal. Let's say, hey, we're gonna hire Ryan Dungey. We're gonna try to get him. I was involved in developing the new 450 at that time, so I have a little bit more experience than most of the guys on the new KTM. And then I kind of say, okay, I kind of got to put in that position, which he was to be his mechanic. And that kind of like lays on. And after he retires, basically, I was going to stay in house, and they say, Cooper actually wants to come here, but he asked if you were his mechanic, and that was kind of cool. I say, I kind of like challenges, underdog. People just kind of count him out, and I've always saw potential in him too, even as an amateur, and I say, I like the fire. I like the spiciness of him, and I think we keep coming down a little bit. He'll be good, and actually, it was awesome to win the first race, basically, because I told him, I say, you win the first race, I'm done, because pretty much every rider I work for, I won a race at least. So I said, you had to win a race. After that, I'm happy, and it was cool, seeing him winning the race and moving forward, and then win the championship, which it was awesome. And
Wow. I mean, that's awesome. Like, again, I know your professional career. I know that story. I didn't know how it all came about. And I mean, you go to the Orlando Supercross, and then you end up working for an 11-year-old kid, Davey Millsaps, who obviously the talent was off the charts. You saw it, but was that a weird time for you? Again, you've got this dream, and you're in this stadium, and you're like, I want to be here, but you had to go and start with this kid with a junkyard of dirt bikes everywhere, which I'm sure that was cool. But I mean, you took a chance on a young kid with talent. And I mean, do you look back on that and go, man, it could have turned out so wrong if he fizzled out, which he didn't. Davey had a great career. I mean, was it scary at that time, or were you just looking for any opportunity, any start, anywhere? I have to imagine that decision was maybe a little tough.
Actually, it sounds like it's tough, but it's not really tough. When I packed my stuff in Puerto Rico and get married with my wife, and we just came to the States, didn't speak English at all. I mean, I had to go to the school and record the classes and translate at night time to learn. And after that point, you say, anything is possible. And one thing I tell the riders, and it's my deal, you never give up. Anything is possible, and it's no mistakes. It's nothing wrong. You just learn from it, and for me, any challenge, you just got to go and hit it straightforward. And obviously, if you give 100%, you're going to get 100% back. And it's just how it is. And yes, it's always a challenge. It's always a scary moment to do stuff like that. But that's the biggest problem, the fear. And if you don't fear anything, you'll be fine.
What was it like working with Davey? Again, he's a kid, then he becomes a teenager, then becomes a young man. And I mean, you saw so much of him as just a human being and how he grew. What was it like working with him just as a person? Again, I know you're close with him now, so I imagine it went very well. But what were those years like, watching him go from kid to teenager to young man and champion?
Man, it was good. It was moments that you say, what is this kid doing? Like, it's just one of those teenagers. And but Davey always, I had to say, he was very respectful, very appreciated the stuff I did. My wife did to him too. It was he till today he still respect us and appreciate all the stuff we did for him. And then it was a nice. To me, it was awesome. To learn. And now I have a daughter. She's 12 years old, and kind of see the whole transition with him, and now start seeing it with my daughter, and kind of help me to grow as a better person, to learn the situations, how to deal with a teenager, how to deal with the different atmosphere, especially a kid like him, that he was a famous kid, just like it was different. no, like he was no normal, like a normal teenager. You know, he has some challenges in his life, and uh, it was good to be around him and learn from him, and he learned from us a lot, and it was good.
What do you think about him now with his son? Little BMX, little moto. It looks like the Millsaps family starting to get some things going over there. Are you noticing that?
Well, that's my phone just ring a lot to find out he's a mini dad now. I call him. You know, uh, of of course, you know, back in the day when Dane was born, he told me, oh, he's not gonna race dirt bikes, you know, and now seeing that, seeing him in racing, and be honest, I go watch some of his races, and man, he looks just like Davey, honestly, how he rides and he stand ups on the bike, and it's just amazed me. You know, I saw Davey from the early days, and seeing his son riding, it's like almost like it's almost the same, you know, and it's cool. I think he's going to be a good mini dad. He learns from stuff, and I think he'll be good.
You know, you've been able to work again with Cooper Webb, Ryan Dungey, Ken Roxon. Everybody's got their own personalities, their own riding style. But when it comes to Davey Millsaps, I mean, it's the talent that stands out. I remember watching him as a kid and going, man, he's pretty young to be knowing how to do that on a dirt bike. And then as a pro, you saw the same things. I remember him that year on the Suzuki. It's like he was just blossoming. I mean, all the talent as a kid was just coming out in him. Was that something that you noticed too, working with him, just his ability to ride a dirt bike a little bit different than other people? I feel like he saw things different and felt the ground different. And I'm imagining, again, you've been with all these champions, but just from a riding perspective, pretty unique, Davey Millsaps.
No, for sure. From the early days, you can tell how everything came easier for him. And he always told me it's not easier, but it's honestly, you watch him how he does stuff on the bike and how he rode the bike, how he rode. It was pretty amazing how if he can jump anything, he can go through the whoops. You know, he was like a very, very time, like you watch him, his rear wheel lands in the same spot every time. You know, like it was pretty good. Very smart on the bike too. You know, it was good. It was quite a bit. I remember one moment we went to U.S. Open for they used to have the little bikes compete, the 85s, and I remember Lolo's. It was a factory Suzuki rider trying to go through the whoops, and he was barely going through the whoops, you know. And there comes our practice for the little bikes, and they said, "Well, you're gonna have to jump it." And Davey went straight on him and skimming better than the 125 guys, and it was pretty like for me, it was like I already knew it was going to happen, but it was kind of impressive for a lot of people just to see the 85 just skimming the whoops, and the 125 they were barely going through it. So it was easy, and moments like that, you can tell this kid really has it. You know, he's going to go forward.
It's nice of you to bring that up because I remember that night and having a hard time getting to the whoops myself on a big bike. So thanks for bringing that up and reminding me of my own whoop struggles while Davey blitzes him on an 80. Thank you, Carlos. I appreciate it. Hey, the next step again in your career, you end up making the move with him professionally. You go to Honda. You know, you talk to a lot of people, whether it's a rider, a mechanic, or anybody in the industry that's like Honda. Like Honda's just got this history that's incredible. You land there. I mean, do you pinch yourself a little bit and be like, man, I start with this kid and now here I am. I work for factory Honda. It's just that had to have been an interesting moment in your life and a very rewarding one.
No, for sure. You know, from the back days in the early 80s and 90s, you know, Honda it's been always the power team. You know, like that's the go team type of deal, and go in there and be part of their program, their awesome program and stuff. It was pretty good. It was another step forward of the goals, you know, and it was awesome.
And then you mentioned, obviously, you get the call from Roger, you know, to come to KTM. And again, I think we all kind of understood at that time that you got Roger, who's going to go over to KTM. He's going to do something with it. We've seen his success. You know, he's going to be successful there. But at the same time, they're starting pretty far behind at that very moment. Was that scary? A little bit scary? I know you trusted Roger, and I know that he had your back and you believed in him, but leaving Honda for this program that needed a lot of work. I can't imagine that being an easy call. Again, with Davey moving on, I think that probably helps that. But still, like, was that hard? I could imagine that being a little bit difficult to make that jump and kind of take that leap of faith.
No, of course, it was a little bit difficult decision. A lot of things came in play. Like, I had to say my wife is the biggest support for me, and she always give me a good advice. I feel like a lot of my success is tribute to her. It's a hard sport to be and hard job to do. If you don't have someone to support you like her, and we sit down. For me, it was a very far drive to Honda, coming from Rivera all the way to Torrance. It was far, and been having a daughter at that time. It been close, and Katie was closer, and I didn't have any ties with riders at that time, which it was kind of like Davey was my main thing, and it was scary. It was tough. At the end, like I said, I always take challenges. I like to do challenge, and I say, you know what, I'm gonna try, and we're gonna do it. It was scary, but it was I trust Raj, and I see what it was coming. I saw a little bit, and I say I think it's like when you see a new young rider, you can see the potential, and I saw potential, and of course, it's a chance. It's always chance something goes wrong, but I thought in my part, I left Honda in good terms. I appreciate all the stuff they done for me. Eric Kehoe is a super good person, manager to us, and to me, it was I left there in good terms. And I say, if he has a chance, something goes wrong, I'm sure that there's opportunity open. I can go back.
It worked out pretty good, huh?
So far
it's been
good.
A good run. It's been
Yes.
good. Hey, so you mentioned it feels like you know like a young talent. Again, you see potential, but you just don't know how it's going to turn out. You mentioned you work with Ken Roxon, and look, you've had to compete against the guy now for a while, like with Cooper Webb, with Ryan Dungey, and we all know how talented and great Kenny is. But what was it like dealing with him in those young days? I mean, Kenny the Kid, man, he came over here. He had his bleached hair. He was just kind of, he had this personality. You could tell he wanted to be here. Talent was off the charts. Was it pretty fun working around that kid in those early stages? Remember back to being like, 16 years old, I think?
Yeah, it was actually fun, I thought for me it was kind of like feel home a little bit, because I deal with Davey in this young age, and kind of like but it was fun. He was, of course, talented. It was a good experience. He was. I still remember Vegas. He was very, very good, and then we went to Vegas, and man, he was struggling the whoops a little bit, and he came back. So I said, I'm not sure, and I said, well, I don't know where you're gonna get it, but you need to find 1 second. If you want to win tonight, you got to go and find second. And he was good in challenge, putting pressure on him. It was good, and I always been honest to the riders. I tell how I feel, how it is. I don't try to be a friend that I tell you what they want to hear. I tell them exactly how it is, and I think they respect me a lot about that. And he was really good. He responds to every stuff, and so the experience that we have and help him. It was fun. He was really good rider.
And now you had to compete against the guy for a long time again with Ryan. I know Ryan. He had to deal with Kenny there for a little bit as Kenny was making that move up to the 450. You're dealing with him now with Cooper Webb. So has it been kind of fun to watch Kenny grow up too and see what he's become as a young man, and now he's a father? I mean, has it been kind of cool to compete with him, but also watch, with kind of a happy eye, knowing that he's been doing some good stuff for himself in his career?
Oh, for sure. I wish the well to all the riders. Anyone, at the end of the day, we all compete, and the best guy will win. And he's a really good, talented rider, and he has some years to come. I think he still has a lot on his tank, and he's going to be there every weekend. And of course, his talent is really, really good, and it's fun to see someone grow up coming here that, you know, it was like seeing the first time he rode Supercross, which he was like, oh, like, be careful, oh, you know, to now that he's really good. So it's actually cool.
So nice chapter in your career is the Ryan Dungey years. Brian is, in my opinion, maybe just almost like the perfect guy for the sport as a representative, as an athlete, as a person. You had a lot of success with him, but more importantly, how was the relationship working with him as a person? Again, someone that I believe is at times bigger than the sport. He represents us very well, and what he's been able to do as a person is impressive. What was it like working with him and being with someone who is just so motivated and driven and just I've heard stories about Ryan, but I'm interested in your take on what it was like to work with someone like him. He's very unique in the way he approached things.
Yeah, well, when I started working with Ryan, it was he was already has his own habits, I will call. You know, it was already a champion. It was a little bit of a learning too, and you had to attack each person different ways. You know, working with Kenny Jones, and he was like, and Davey, they were like a very spicy guys, and you know, like just young, hyper. And Ryan was more calm, and he knew what he wants. And but we worked really well together. We like the one thing we liked is about each other. We will give it 100%, and that's one thing that Ryan went to the gate. No matter what, he was going to give you 100%. And his work ethic, it was unbelievable. You know, he put every effort to be the best. So it was a really good. We got a good relation. We still talk a lot. You know, he's a daddy now too, and you know, it's kind of like the same transition you see him growing from a young person to older and get him his life and how everything's going. But it was fun.
One thing that I've heard about Ryan and kind of know a little bit about his personality is that, you know, he's always looking for more, whether that's himself or his motorcycle, his pro, whatever. And I know that when it came to the bike, he liked to work on the bike and try things and try this and try and move around. For you as a mechanic who is dealing with his personality and the machine side and dealing with Roger, to kind of having to juggle all this, was there times when it was difficult with him being someone who really, really wanted to try a lot of different things around versus maybe a kid who doesn't even know, is just turns the throttle and goes? Is it challenging sometimes when you have a rider who really, really wants to find new things and find what he wants, and ultimately you're part of the process in finding those things? Was that difficult at times?
I wouldn't say difficult. It was a challenge. You know, most of the times that's what we're at the race. We trying to get, you know, the best, and that was one thing he liked to explore and practice and try different, you know, settings, trying here, try there. Sometimes at the end of the day, we end up going back to how we started because that was the best. But one thing I admire him too, he didn't want to leave anything on the table. You know, he wants to make sure that he tried everything is possible to be better. And I don't consider that being a challenge. I just more like, okay, we're going to try, go stiffer, go softer here, or go, just kind of wander a little bit, even if we go back at the end of the day, back to where he started. But at least in his mind, when he went to that gate, he said, I tried everything was possible with the bike. Now it's up to me, you know, and I think that's a good thing because sometimes we can get the riders better and help them to go to a better position. At the end of the day, they're the ones going to have to ride it.
Right. Yeah. At the end of the day, it comes down to his decisions with that bike and what he wants to do. I'm fascinated by that process. You know, during the day, you've got, gosh, it's like a lot of pressure. There's not much time. You've got your practice qualifier, then your heat and main. The night's over before you know it. And it's fascinating to know how these riders come about that final setting for the night and know that they're on the gate for the main. You know, you've done your job, they've done their job, Roger did his job, and now it's just up to drop the gate and go. And I can't imagine a better time in your career than when you were with Ryan, because with him, again, you knew that he was on the gate. It was go time. He was going to give it his all, and he was more than likely going to put himself in position to win races and championships. And again, probably challenging when someone's that like him, that's that on it, but at the same time, very rewarding because at the end of the day, you guys won a lot, and I can imagine that being a very fun chapter in your career.
No, that's the key about this. Uh, you work hard during the day, and long hours and testing and all that stuff, and at the end of the day, having him to win a race or be in a podium. And I mean, you look back now, and I mean, the guy went 34 podiums in a row. I mean, that's looking back. It's just at the moment, I didn't even click on me, And afterwards, you see the guy finished from 1 to 3, 34 times in a row. That's incredible. And he was, but that was who he was. He gave 100%, and he wanted us to give him 100% too. And I think that's what were our match. We did the same, and we pushed hard. And it was days that we lose, but we lose as a team and winning as a team. And we knew that was not our day. And coming back from that, that was the key. And he was actually very good, very, very strong mind. And the next weekend he'll come back and win a race. So it was good.
That 2017 championship that he won, that last one, I know was very tough for him. Eli found something that year mid-season, was just clicking him off. And I know it was just, man, Ryan had to give everything he had to get that last one. Came down to that last crazy night in Vegas. Now, I don't know what it sounded like to you down there on the floor, but let me tell you right now, that night was out of control in Vegas when he put the wrap on that championship. But then he makes the decision to retire. And at that point, like, where are you at in your head? Like, you just win this title, but now he's gone. You're in this transition before Cooper Webb comes along. What was it like for you that summer? And just, a giant change, kind of maybe out of the blue for some. Maybe you knew a little bit more that was likely, but what was that summer like in that off season before, the Cooper Webb decision would come on later on? But what was that time like for you, that transition when Ryan decided to end his career?
Well, we kind of have a little be a hint here and there. He was kind of like in that part of his career that he was pretty much done. And obviously Vegas that night was pretty pretty hectic. I told him right before we went to the main event, I say, hey, we got to get one advice for you: protect your bike, because if I'm your opponent, I'm gonna break your bike. That's exactly true.
And you're like, don't let no one mess with the bike. That's my bike. Protect this motorcycle, man.
Yes, and he was actually very good listener. If you watch the race, the first time Eli came for the front wheel, you can see he went over and protected his front wheel. I say, if he breaks your front wheel, I told him, if he breaks the spokes, I'm fast. I can change it quick, but you're not gonna finish 4. So protect your wheels. Maybe you lose a spot. You got to be on top of your game. If I put my position in his position, I will tell you he's going to go for your front wheel. So
Ryan seems pretty aware. He knows what's going on around him. He's a very, very intelligent racer
and very smart. And we knew there was going to be it was not going to be easy. We knew there's going to be a fight. And he knew what to do. And the best thing for us is to go up front and try to manage the race. But it was pretty tough. But he actually finished. It was funny. After the weekend, we came up Monday or Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken. We have a little Supercross testing after that, just to shake things down before the season. When it was over and start outdoors, we wanted to try some stuff for the following year. And man, I watched him ride on Tuesday, and he was like a different man. He was flowing fast and like riding good, but he was just like he took that relief, and all that pressure. And it's tough for the riders too, that pressure of winning each title. And for me, after that, it was pretty much I kind of knew what was coming. Roger kind of named me the crew chief for the team at that point and say, you're going to take care, and I want you to stay in-house, start involved and do some data acquisition, start involved with other programs on the team, and kind of stay busy, helping everybody else. And just at the end of the year, that's when they say, we're going to get somebody else. At that point, I think they hired Tickle. Jade Dungey was here working for us, so he worked for Tickle. So kind of like a stay in-house, helping the mechanics and trying to develop the bikes, help them with R&D and learning more, and just stay behind scenes. And it was actually kind of good to see a little bit of the stuff that sometimes I don't have a lot of time to do, and it was okay. I was fun. And then that's when Cooper Webb came on board, and then back in the road again.
When that happened, you mentioned how Cooper, when he was coming on board, he requested you, he wanted you, and I'm sure he wanted the full package, whatever Ryan Dungey had to win those titles. I'm sure he wanted all of that. But for you, was it like a quick, yeah, okay, let's go. I'm going to go with this guy who's had 2 rough years in the 450 class. I want this challenge. Let's do it. Or was there a little bit of pullback in like, hey, the in-house thing's pretty cool. I like what I'm doing. I guess, what was that decision like? Was it hard, or did you just jump on and say, hey, this number 2 kid's got something. I think we could do something there.
Yeah, pretty much. Roger told me, say he's coming on board. He's one thing we have is he's requesting you to be his mechanic. Are you okay with it? And I say, Roger, I'm here for the team. I'll do whatever it takes, And that's what basically went for it, And like I said before, I like the challenge, and it was a new goal, and there we are.
Yeah, crazy, right? I remember when that announcement came out that Cooper was going there, and my belief was, hey, 2019, he needs to bounce back a little bit, just get the season, just be solid, just kind of build himself back. I didn't think it was a championship type year. I thought maybe he needed a year to get closer. Did you feel the same, or when you started dealing with him and dealing with his personality, did you feel like, man, I think this might go quicker than we thought because he comes out and wins the championship in that first year for you guys? I thought it was going to take a little bit longer, maybe 1 year, but I mean, the story's been written. He won in 2019. Did you feel, or where did you feel? Did you feel it would take a little bit of time, or did you feel this guy's personality would lead him to a title right away?
No, he was working with him and riding a little bit at the track and stuff. Right away, we saw some things that were definitely it was going to be better for him. We thought at first, the first thing they say, this year we're going to win some races. He's going to be there. Honestly, we didn't know where we were going to be on the title wise because it's hard to predict. But our goal, honestly, it was to be top 5 in the first race, and he did it. He went in the mud race. He was all the way in the outside, and he crashed, and he came back to 5th. And I say, that's our first goal, top 5. Now we got to keep moving, and Coop responds. He's a racer. I feel like when qualified okay, but at the race, that's when he gave 100%. And I see that from the mini days, back in 250 days, he was always like that. And seeing that his fire is back, and after the first win, I say, I think we're in this championship. When he won the first race, I say, that's when to me it was we are in this championship.
Yeah, that's kind of where I think I was too. I felt there would be some good stuff, but I didn't think it would happen that quick. And when he got that Triple Crown win, it just seemed like I just looked at him different. I went, whoa, this guy could actually win the whole thing. I thought it would take a little while. That's all. And when I saw that first win, the way he did it, he did the old point and shoot thingy. And then I was like, oh my gosh, dude, you won 1 Triple Crown. Like, that's a little aggressive. But then to go and finish the night off, I feel like he puts himself into these pressured situations sometimes where he has to back it up, and then he does. And I think that night was fit for me too. I went, well, I think this guy might be able to go the distance. He's got the attitude of someone who could kind of grind this thing out. Was that how it was for you too? You left that night going, oh, plans have changed. Let's go get this championship.
Well, it's all about confidence. You're the rider, and it's all about confidence. Most of these guys, they can go they can go for the win. And he has that fire on him, and winning that night, you can see the confidence, and it's like light up. Say, man, you can see it. The confidence, and after that week practicing, and it was it was incredible. You know, it was like a different guy, and only a weekend away. You know, it's just like you can see confidence light up, and being down because he used to be a champion. You know, he's a champion for the lights, and being down for those couple of years, and it takes a toll on the riders. You know, they're winning and winning. All of a sudden, you can win, and it's tough. And having this first win back, it kind of rejuvenated him. You know, it was like, man, I'm going for this. It was pretty good.
Yeah, episode 12 of this series was, with Cooper. Got a chance to talk to him a lot about the 2020 season and the challenges he went through with the sickness and trying to defend that championship, and then the big crash. And I believe even though he didn't win, it was an unbelievable year for him to just bounce back and fight and kind of show everybody, hey, I didn't get this, but I went through some things. And that leads us to 21. He's pretty motivated to get it back. I think he's one of those riders that regardless of where he is in the standings, he kind of rides with a chip on his shoulder. I think that's how he feels now. So as we get ready for 21 again, I know you're at the shop. Bikes are getting worked on. It's that time of year again. What's it feel like for you knowing that you guys lost that plate? He wants it back. He's motivated. I mean, you're up to the challenge, obviously. What's it feel like knowing we're a few weeks out from this thing and going back to battle again and try to win another championship?
Well, that's the best out of this. You know, his main key is to stay healthy. Seem to be one that's going to be our biggest challenge. The other thing is he took some time off. He's fresh. He's ready to go, and he looks good. And you know, hopefully he's better in the whoops this year, like you said. So he's going to be. We'll see if he impress you on the whoop. So that's our biggest challenge this year.
It's funny is because Salt Lake City, he was really good in the whoops. He was really, you could see there was a turnaround there. And I don't care if he ends up being the fastest in the whoops. I'm still going to give him a hard time about it just because it was such a funny thing for a while. Just because how he likes to corner the bottom of them berms, and it's like he likes that bike to cut. So I'll always give him a hard time about it. But he did tell me that he, with a little bit of a smirk, said, "You'll see." And it sounds like you guys are, with the bike settings, with him and him knowing his own weaknesses, it sounds like he's improved. And if he did, that's dangerous. I mean, he's already won this title before. If he's that much better on the track, I can't imagine. I can imagine you being very, very confident coming into the season.
No, he is. And he's good. Salt Lake, it was a really good for him on the whoops. He was better there and built some confidence. And of course, his back injury was a little bit of a back, but he's good to go, and he's going to be good.
So Carlos, again, your career's been awesome. You've had a lot of success. You've been thrown challenges that you don't seem to have a problem with. You overcome them. But what's next? I mean, what happens now when you've won this much? You've been this successful. What kind of challenges are you looking for? What do you see yourself 5-10 years from now? Like, what's next for you? What are we chasing here?
Obviously, I want to end up in a good note with Coop. Trying to end his career basically with him and trying to finish up. Of course, I look for different challenges, and for me, the biggest I want to be in the future to run a team myself. So that's going to be like my next goal, and on this my next challenge. You win some titles and all that stuff. It's all amazing, and you learn through the years with riders. And my biggest thing, just to be part of be the guy to run the team and be there. And so that's long from the future, but it's there. That's going to be my next goal.
I don't doubt you'll get it. I don't doubt you'll be very, very good at it. One more question. This is going to be just an oddball kind of one, but when you're working on the bike and you're going over just the millions of parts and things that you got to do, what's the one part of being a mechanic that you don't like? There's got to be something, and you can't say the traveling because we all kind of don't like the traveling. I'm saying when it comes to working on a machine, what is it that you're just like, you know what, that's the one thing I just don't like?
Man, it's hard because I love everything I do on the bike. I enjoy to do everything on the bike. I honestly, I don't really have one. I mean, I work on the bike. I have everything I do. I enjoy, from graphics to changing tires, changing mousses. I maybe the mousses is a tough one.
Okay, I was gonna say, come on, man. There's no way you like that. You gotta be on. You don't like that.
But I do it, and it's something that it doesn't bother me. I do it all the time, and that'd be maybe the least. But I enjoy everything I do on the bike. It's I do this because I love it. This is it's just like a riders. They enjoy racing. I enjoy working on the bikes, and so that's kind of, I will say, the changing mousses.
Okay, I knew I had to get one out of you. So, well, Carlos, thank you so much for coming on Beyond the Track, man. I'm loving doing these, and it's awesome to hear your story. Again, your resume is off the charts, and I don't doubt that 2021 will be good for you guys, and I know you guys will be ready. That's what you do. And thanks again for coming on, taking the time. I'll let you get back to it because that season's coming up pretty quick.
No problem. Thank you, guys.
I'll see you soon, man. Thank you.